Good afternoon, everyone. Original headlines read, Tokyo had not seen snow in over 50 years. The last time was 1962, which was just snow flurries. Here's where it gets interesting. Accumulation totals in Tokyo, you have to dig back in records at least into 1875. A look at the snow map during the day. Tokyo residents stunned, awe, and shock of how much snow was coming down in the city itself, accumulating a couple of inches. Rooftops. And Japanese media just loaded with stories about snow accumulations, early snows, record cold temperatures. And when we take a look at the history of Japan, overlaid with other historical periods across the planet, when the Wei dynasty collapsed, the Kofun period ended, and that was the end of the Roman Empire in the late antique mini ice age. Left side, the different periods of Japan's rulership changing. Historians tell you it's because of political conflict. I take you to the collapse of the Chinese dynasties on the right side. Notice the dates overlapping. It wasn't really because of political conflict. That was a result of the grand solar minimum and these societies not being able to feed themselves. And while you're watching the video, please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030. The original headlines reported across the media, surprise snow in Tokyo. It hadn't happened in over 50 years. That was only flurries though. But looking deeper into the information, the last time there was actually accumulation was 142 years ago. And Robert Felix over at Ice Age Now talks about solar cycle 12 and 13, did a little write-up further down in the article about this. Snow accumulation maps during that time, wide out here for the area of Tokyo and Chiba. The Koshin area, that's about 4 inches. Chiba, about 2 inches. Downtown Tokyo, 1.5 inches. These are rare numbers, absolutely shocking and unbelievable. It just does not snow in November of all things, but at these depths in these major heat island metropolitan areas that have 30 million people. Look at the area covered during these rare snows, but what does it really mean, that much snow in a major city? Let's take a look. Rail lines. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to gigantic, over 20 million people cities in your lifetimes, but they are absolute heat islands. When we take a look at some of these what would be considered outlying periphery suburb areas, but these snows are straight in downtown Tokyo. This is one of my favorites here, the Buddha covered in snow. You'll notice the depths, it's that really heavy, thick, wet snow again. Nice looking Taichuan here, that's the type of dog out of Japan, Taichuan. Just that green and white together, beautiful colors. Staying in the Tokyo media, from the beginning of November, it's just been snow story after record cold after snow story. Early snows breaking records. So let's take a look at the history of Japan. The different periods where rulership started, it changed. The historians always talk about warring clans and families, shoguns taking over, and this is the reason the political conflict ended in rulership changing. But when we start to match it up in history with the collapse of other areas across the planet, the late antique Little Ice Age, the end of the Roman Empire, the collapse of the Wei dynasty, and the end of the Kofun era, you cannot tell me that these are all exactly the same political conflicts happening at the exact same time. It's all weather related, it's all because of the grand solar minimum, and it's happening again. On the left side, we're going to continue with the history of Japan. The yellow boxes are the end. On the right side, when we take a look at the Chinese dynasties, they collapsed as well for some reason. The yellow boxes match up perfectly with the collapse of the Chinese dynasties. If it was political in nature, they would have been separated and nothing would have happened to one or the other. I do believe that they could not have influenced each other so heavily to change the leadership of the country, unless it was a wide-reaching event. Let's start at the Heian period. 1185 was the end. We jump over to the right. 1185, Jin dynasty collapsed. Looking at the Kamakura period, 1333 was the end. We look, oh, Wolf in the Yuan dynasty collapsed. Hey, wasn't that the Black Death that rolled through Europe at the exact same time? And the Azuchi period ended 1603. Ming dynasty collapsed. And we know what happened in Europe in the Grand Solar Minimum. 25% of the people died from starvation and disease over there. These match up time and time and time again. I'm going to leave you with the wide out shots here of the things I've combined so you can get a better look at it. The late antique little ice age. Look at all the other events, the Persians, the Romans, the invasions, the establishment of the Tang dynasty after the Sui dynasty. Look at the dips in temperature. Notice the political changes, the planetary geometry. And notice that this period is here again, and it's going to be intensifying until 2024. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. And every single one of these collapses was related to agricultural failures. They couldn't feed their people, and hungry people want change. Jump over to Trade Genius. Talk to Bob. They are trading specifically on the Grand Solar Minimum in agriculture. He can lay out where they see future losses and how their signals trading service work. Please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030, and I'll keep more stories like these coming to you.